What's up, YouTube? It's Logino. I actually made this video to talk about gaming. If anything, I'll say this lasts at least 10 years. This may be controversial, but I think this has been one of, if not the best decades in gaming as a whole. Ups for, the studios, Ghost of Tsushima, amazing game, haven't finished it. God of War, finished it, but I haven't uploaded to the channel yet. It'll come sometime. But that Elden Ring, yeah, there's so many heavy hitters for gaming, but I feel like the reason it's lost its touch is just because it's the bad. The bad outweighs the good. Now I have the right, obviously not the right, but I have a right to an opinion because just like everybody, I love games. I love playing a game for its story. I love playing the game or even replaying the game for its emotional value and my connection to the characters. But when these companies just throw out these soulless games, to me the most is that these companies try to give us and sell us hey, yeah, this is a good game. No, it's not. No, it's fucking not. For example, bro, Concord. You niggas remember Concord? Yeah, I don't either. But basically, the reason it failed and the reason, Sony doesn't mention it is because they marketed it as this big thing and that it was supposed to be this big, FPS and trying to, it's going to take out every game. Not necessarily the saying that Concord was, but, that's how games are. As a whole, I feel like FPSs and, live action games or live service games, they've just run their course, man. Now, with that being said, I do still enjoy, some live service games. Halo, Battlefield, some of the CODs, it's either hit or miss now. But, I mean, they're starting to become, more live serviceable, Fortnite. And they're becoming one of those type of games, which I'm, to each their own. Whoever likes that, that's up your alley. But COD didn't really begin as, a makeshift station for all these companies to just sell out their slop items and slop characters. Now, I hear you say in the comments, if there's any, but oh, well, I mean, you play 2K. You're at fault here. Well, I would say it's less on the consumer. Because if I think about it, if anyone does, 2K was and still is essentially the only basketball game on the market. And I feel like that's the reason people, downgrade their standards to these games and, eventually give in or buy what these companies, give out for such a small margin. It's just because that's what it is. That's all they're going to get. And I feel like, obviously don't shoot the messenger, but what I'm saying is, if we were to get more effort out of games, as I'm doing a voiceover now over fucking M++, who's heard of that? A majority of people probably haven't even heard of M++. Shout out Corey Kenshin, by the way, because I saw him play it on once on his channel back in 2014. And I've had the game for a minute now, so that's great. Getting back to my main point, yeah, we're just, the oversaturation of these games nowadays, it's gotten away from the turning point. For example, a series I always run back to and, play all the Infamous games, or the Sly Cooper games, or, early Halo, or, even, some modern games that are so popular, Minecraft, Terraria, or even, some just classic shooters I want to get back into. And it sucks the fact that I have to, go back to these older titles and experience what it was to see a studio and a company that cared about their games. And I think that's what the root of frustration is with gamers, at least nowadays. These companies they hand these people basically nothing, and the players are forced to, have fun and experience the games. And one of my examples is it's probably going to have to be NBA 2K, definitely. They're a company that was so high from grace and just had a dive in quality. And, I mean, I've caught myself at times, and I've gone on, friends can say I've said this countless and countless times. And sometimes they come up with the excuse, oh, you're just bad at the game. 2K25 was the worst game I have ever played. Now, there's been obviously some bad indie games and some bad Flash games, maybe in some bad AAA games, but 2K25 was the worst, and I mean the worst. live service game I have ever played. And the devs know it. The devs know it. That's why when 2K26 came out, they switched up the shooting, they switched up the dribbling, they had to advertise, oh, Spike Lee's back. He's going to run over the whole format here. Hey, we'll let him take it. They had to, because that's what drew the community back in. People weren't going to take not being able to shoot. People weren't going to take, being basically disabled by the game and basically being forced to, spam drop steps or spam hooks or spam whatever just to get a bucket. And I feel like that's what the main criticism of 2K25 was. The game basically took away all your actions and put them in with AI reactions, essentially. It's a sad sight to see. This exists in a lot of communities out nowadays. That ranging from FPS shooters, other sports games, and it's like you're a parent and your child's doing a bad thing and you know they can do better. Like 2K, why are we charging over $100 to make a build when Ronald said we can respec our builds a few years ago, albeit, but still, don't build up lies and then just expect us to be okay with the status quo. That's how you lose your audience. Now, some of these companies are great at lying. Some of these companies are greedy and money hungry, and they will do anything to make a quick buck. I am looking at you, EA. And that's no bash to its employees. I'm sure they're great people, but their corporate sucks. And that is basically my main gripe now, at least. I'm tired of getting fed just absolute ass every year. And there are some bangers that come out every few years or so. When a company decides to put their big boy pants on and say, hey, we're not going to be this or that guy in the room. And they deliver. Elden Ring, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, like I said. All great games, and they all decided to take it up the notch for gaming. Spider-Man PS4, amazing game. Spider-Man 2, kind of a disappointment, but this isn't about Spider-Man 2. I'm going to make an entire different video about my problem with Spider-Man 2. But great game, honestly. Set up the status quo for superhero games. And a lot of games after, looking at you, Avengers, didn't deliver. And it's honestly sad. With enough money and enough employees that some of these companies have, and they're actively destroying other communities that are making great games and better games than a lot of these companies. It's sad to see, man.